Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you. Visit cloudsigma.com/thisweekin for a free $200 credit.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Sign up for GoToMeeting using promo code TWiST to begin your free trial. And by Hiscox. Do you have the proper insurance for your startup? Get the right insurance right now with Hiscox.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and this is This Week in Startups. I'm here in Boston and Cambridge, and today on the program, Anant Agarwal. Did I pronounce it even close?
Good enough.
Anant Agarwal is with me. He is the president of edX, which is changing the face of education. It's going to be a very interesting episode. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. We are here at the Launch Festival. It's March 3rd, and the festival's starting tomorrow. I'm getting all the tables set up, all the chairs, and just last week, I was using GoToMeeting to meet with all these great companies and to show off their great products, and now they're going to be on stage here in front of 5,800 people registered for the event. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank the sponsor of This Week in Startups, GoToMeeting. Meeting is believing. As you guys know, I've been using the product for years, and they were gracious enough to support the program when I needed help, to help fund the program and get all these great founder interviews. I use the HD Faces feature all the time, and when I was up here in San Francisco, I used my iPad mini to do the camera. And I was using this is an incredible moment. I was using GoToMeeting on my iPad, and I had GoToMeeting on my laptop, and I was using the GoToMeeting iPad mini to telecast, stream my iPhone, because I was showing somebody an app on it. So I just set it up. It was incredible. It was like I had a little production studio with GoToMeeting, and I'm really happy to announce that they're going to give a great contest. As you know, it's winter, it's freezing, it's cold, and if you could host a meeting anywhere, where would it be and why? That's the question I need you to answer. Where would you host your meeting and why? Like for me, it would probably be Kauai on Hanalei Bay. But where would you host yours and why? Tweet your answer to hashtag #TwistIPad as well as #GoToMeeting. Yes, Twist. Where would you host your meeting from and why? #TwistIPad and #GoToMeeting. Then you got to do that in like 140 characters, so it's not going to be easy. And of course, use the go get a 30-day trial. Visit GoToMeeting, click on the Try It Free button, use the promo code TWiST. Yes, that's right. Go to GoToMeeting, visit GoToMeeting, click on the Try It Free button, and use the promo code TWiST. Bryce, you gonna laugh during the ad? Come on, I got this copy. That was a great ad read. Hey, everybody, it's fantastic. Listen, thank you so much to my friends at GoToMeeting. Meeting is believing, and I need you to go ahead and thank them and wish these 53 companies launching on stage at the Launch Festival luck. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Let's get back to the program. This is a pretty good interview, isn't it? Hey, everybody. Welcome to the program. As you know, we track startups, and This Week in Startups has been going strong for 4 years now. Over 100,000 people download every episode. And sometime last year, we started to see a major change in education, people flipping the classroom, everybody from Khan Academy to Coursera, just a bunch of amazing technology. And, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't notice edX, this incredible startup in Cambridge that was well-funded by a couple of people you might have heard of. And I said, wow, we got to get these guys on the show because they're doing some incredible work with some huge partners. And so here we are in Cambridge. I'm out here for a board meeting. I've joined the board of a company called Dine up in New Hampshire. And I said, hey, let me swing by Boston and get a couple of great interviews in. So with me, Anant Agarwal is the president of edX. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So tell me, what is edX and how was it founded? When was it founded? And who actually created all this?
So edX, I like to think of edX as a non-profit startup, if there is such a thing. It was first came up as MITx. This was in December of 2011. And the idea there was to create these MOOC courses from MIT and offer them to the world. A number of universities connected with us and said, hey, look, why don't you broaden it? Our mission was to have an open source platform, free education to students around the world. Was very synergistic with what they were thinking about themselves. Discussions happened between Harvard and MIT, and so MIT and Harvard teamed up and formed edX in May of 2012. They each invested, they committed $30 million apiece for a total of 60, and created edX. We launched our first course in spring of last year, and with very little in marketing, we had 155,000 students sign up for the course.
Wow.
And that is, that number is greater than the total number of alumni of MIT in its 150-year history.
Wow.
So we got off to a great start. We offer courses from a number of our university partners. Berkeley, MIT, Harvard, the UT, University of Texas System, Georgetown, Wellesley.
Yeah.
They put courses on a platform, and students around the world take these courses.
And so what was the initial reaction back in 2011 when somebody said, hey, why don't we tape our professors and put it on the internet for free? And I'm assuming the first manifestation of an online course was just videotaping the professor.
Well, it actually turned out that in our, just as when television first started, they were, they had the radio announcers reading the news on television. But now, if you go to CNN or any of the latest news shows, they look like, they simply don't look anything like a person reading news. It's in situ, people embedded. It's like virtual reality.
Sure.
So in the same manner, when the very early courses came out, it was videotaping lectures and putting those videotapes on the web.
Which was revolutionary in and of itself.
The revolution, exactly.
Everybody looks at MIT and says, wow, like you have to get into MIT, and now you've taken MIT and given it for free to the world.
Exactly. So OpenCourseWare came out and offered these free videos and took the course content from existing courses and put that on the web. edX takes it to a new level. So if OpenCourseWare is about putting course content online, edX is about offering courses where the additional components are, one is there is a community of students. And the community interacts with each other. Second is interactivity. You're interacting with simulations and interacting with content and getting assessed instantly, getting instant feedback. And the third component that is new is that you're getting a certificate at the end of it.
Wow.
So if you take a course from Berkeley, for example, and you pass the course, you will get a certificate from Berkeley X. So the X has become, we're noticing that the X is becoming somewhat of a brand, somewhat of a really powerful edX brand. And anything that edX touches seems to get the name X.
Right. So now, when that was first introduced, I wonder, what was the discussion like of why are we here as as an educational institution? It must have come up. Or are we here to have a small group of people get this extraordinary, high contact education, or are we here to give a large group of people something maybe with a little less intimacy, a little bit less high contact, but to get the message out to a larger group? Were there people who were, I wonder, saying that's outside of our mission? And how did you get them to sort of, or did everybody just say, you know what, this is great, it's additive, why wouldn't we want to help people around the world? What was the reaction?
So this really goes back to, why are MIT and Harvard and our partner institutions really doing it? What's motivating all of us in doing this? And there are really two motivations. One of them, of course, is to increase access to education for students worldwide. Our campuses can, take only a certain number of students. And, I've served in admissions committees myself, and we could easily see ourselves admitting 2 or 3 times as many students as we do. But we just can't, we don't have the capacity. And so, part of our mission is to educate students around the world. And if we can educate a much larger number of students around the world, then that is a good thing. It is simply an extension of our core mission. The second and key reason why we're doing it is we want to improve campus education. We really want to rethink and reimagine how education happens on our own campuses.
So how does getting 155,000 people around the world to take an MIT course inform the actual course on MIT's campus with 150 people in the room, or whatever it is?
So one of the big things that is happening with online education, if you really go down into the nuts and bolts of what's going on, look at the root, we're really applying technology to education in a concerted manner. If you go back in history, if you go back the past several hundred years, we really haven't had any major innovation in education since the printing press. Okay, if you went into a classroom of 50, 70 years ago, it would look exactly the same today. what we are doing is applying technology to education in a really concerted manner, in terms of bringing instant feedback, as an example. By having the computer-grade problems and answers, students get instant feedback. And studies have shown that instant feedback to students demonstrably improves learning outcomes.
Interesting.
So by applying computation to learning, through video, through interactivity, through multimedia, through the social networking component, through this whole concept of active learning, where you're teaching students by asking questions and doing it interactively on the learning platform, that is demonstrably improving learning outcomes. And I think by bringing these technologies back on campus, we can significantly reimagine how we do things on campus as well.
Interesting. So if I'm taking a course, I'm taking little micro quizzes or interactive elements, I guess, where maybe I have to answer some questions to keep that moving forward. It engages me on a deeper level. The learning is there, and then if somebody actually doesn't get it, they don't get left behind, I guess, is a big part of it.
That's right. So we have these things called learning sequences, which interleave videos with interactive exercises. So as students go through that, and they find that they're not able to answer something, there are multiple choices open to them. They can go back and review the video again. They can pause it. They can rewind. They can learn at their own pace, which you cannot do in a classroom. In a classroom, you can't rewind the professor. Heck, you cannot even mute the professor.
No.
But online, you can do all of these things. And furthermore, in class, with a large classroom, it's generally hard to ask questions. So you typically just bottle up your questions and you kind of ignore them.
Yeah.
But online, we have discussion forums embedded into each of right next to each video and exercise. So students can go and ask those questions right in place and carry on a discussion, for example, right when they're going through the material. And this way they get either other students answering the questions, which is generally true, or sometimes professors answering the question. And this way they get instant feedback with their problems as well.
And I would suppose that some percentage of students are introverts as opposed to extroverts. The extroverts, if I remember college correctly, 20 years ago, would sometimes take over the class, and the introverts wouldn't get a chance to ask questions. In this kind of form, an introvert maybe isn't as much of a disadvantage, and also the students who are getting so far ahead, they have something to do, help the students who are falling behind.
Exactly. I think we see a lot of that happening where, I've sat in a number of classes in a bricks and mortar setting myself, where in a classroom the same student will attempt to ask all the questions and answer them themselves, and it can be quite frustrating for all of the other students. In an online setting, everybody gets to ask. If you have a question, you can ask the question, and the anonymity of the situation, I think, is very compelling and enables students to ask questions without necessarily feeling that the whole world is looking at them, and everybody gets a shot at asking a question. And those who are ahead, get to teach. And many students are telling us that they are learning by teaching, and that's been very compelling.
Is part of this effort and the interest in this effort that people feel that as the cost of education has gone up, in society, it seems like almost everything we do is getting more efficient, but the cost of education, it just keeps going up and up and up for whatever reasons. Is part of this to make college a better deal for people, to make it more efficient, to ensure that the skills that, coming out of the school are there? Now, of course, a Harvard or an MIT probably doesn't suffer from people feeling that the value isn't there because they're, such established brands, if you will. But for other schools, maybe people are wondering, is there a gap between how much I paid for the school and my ability to earn income afterwards? That skills gap people call about, the skills gap people talk about.
Oh, I think there's an absolute issue in our whole education system. As a professor, education has gotten so expensive that as a professor, a typical professor would not be able to send 2 or 3 kids to college, paying full tuition. It is
right.
It is almost a joke.
Right.
And so something clearly has to be done. But I like to think of what we are doing as solving 2 issues. Of course, we can make education such that we can reduce the cost of education. I think by being able to, automatically grade questions, we don't have to have graders sit around grading it. Students can watch videos on their own time, so professors don't have to lecture, week after week, hour after hour. So there is some efficiency that can be brought to bear through technology. But at the same time, we're improving quality as well. And I like to think of it as improving efficiency of education, which is your output divided by the cost. So if you're producing much better quality for the same cost, that is still a good thing.
Yes, there's more leverage,
Much more leverage. Or you can produce the same quality at a lower cost.
Right.
So I like to think of the ratio of your quality output, of what you're outputting to what goes in. And I think we will improve efficiency, which is that ratio. That's the key that I'd like to
You're going to do it on both ends, because if I'm doing the course from India or China or the Middle East, even, in a tribal area where maybe I don't have super access to it, I can actually take the MIT course and get a certificate that I took the MIT course?
That is correct. Yeah. So if you if you take the course from anywhere in the world and you pass the course, you will get a certificate. If it's an MIT course, you will get a certificate from MIT X,
right,
or Harvard X, or Berkeley X, or what have you. And these
which
certificates,
is the full-on logo with an X next to it. It's the same word.
It's the same word with an X next to it. And the reason it's MIT X or Berkeley X and not Berkeley or MIT is that the campus experience is very different. So when you go to campus and you take a class on campus, and when you get a degree on campus, it's a different experience. So it's not the same thing.
Right.
So it would not be appropriate to provide the same certificate or the same degree. It is really different, but it's extremely valuable nonetheless.
Right, but is the knowledge different? I mean, are the quizzes that I'm going to take, the little interactive pieces, going to be different than the course at MIT, or are they going to sync up?
So edX courses match the rigor of the campus counterparts.
Right.
So with edX, we care deeply about quality.
Yeah.
And the rigor of the campus course matches the rigor of the MOOC course. So as an example, when we taught our first course in spring of last year, the circuits and electronics course, we had 20 students on campus take the same course. And those students were taking and doing the same exercises, the same exams, the same material. And so I think in terms of content and delivery of content and learning from a course standpoint, I think we can match the rigor of an on-campus class. There are some pieces that are completely hard to match, like things like a real physical laboratory where you can smell a burning resistor.
Sure.
But we have online laboratories on edX, and edX is pretty unique in that category. And these online labs really give you close to the feeling of an on-campus laboratory. So the courses are very much of the same rigor.
Do the professors see a difference between the top students taking the course online versus the top students taking a course in class? In other words, are they as good?
So, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
If a student on campus got a high score and an online student got the same score and they did the work diligently, to me, they both learned the same from a course standpoint.
Yes.
The students on campus may be getting other things. They work in communities and groups and other. But from a course standpoint, I would view them as very similar in terms of having mastered the material. In fact, one of our students was a 15-year-old from Mongolia.
A 15-year-old?
A 15-year-old high schooler from Mongolia.
Yeah.
And he was by the name of Batushig. And he took this really hard MIT class. And as part of a blended class that one of his teachers in high school had put together. And there, he had a perfect score in the exam. So he had a perfect score in a sophomore, junior level MIT class.
Wow.
Perfect 100%. And he's now applied to MIT and Berkeley. And, I think I would say his mastery of the subject is comparable to the mastery of the subject of a student at any of our top institutions that get the same score.
This must be very exciting from an admission standpoint, that you can create essentially a farm league. If these students are compelled to go take a course 3 or 4 years before they're, would be matriculated, and then excel at it 2 or 3 years before, you're casting such a wider net, you could find so many more brighter minds, which in the previous application process, you wouldn't have that. Your SATs or your 4-year performance at a high school in, India or Bangladesh or whichever country, they just wouldn't afford them that.
I think it goes even beyond that, beyond the farm league. I think this democratizes accessibility. It democratizes the applications process. So in the past, But universities, for better or for worse, look at scores like SATs and other scores and so on.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people in rich communities are able to get access to a lot of training centers, and they have the right background and things like that. But here, anybody with an internet connection anywhere in the world can take an edX course and demonstrate mastery of the material, learn the material, and now could put that on the resume as they apply to colleges. In fact, Batushik has applied to both MIT and Berkeley to come in as an undergraduate student to our universities.
I wonder how many courses he will have already completed by the time he gets here.
Interesting question.
Yeah. And so the certificate, it just seems incredible that you were able to pull that off, like to actually be able to convince all the constituents that we should give a certificate. To an employer, I'm an employer, a certificate to me from MITx, or actually having gone to MIT, I obviously don't speak for all employers, but I don't think I would perceive too much difference between somebody who, on a skills mastery level, did the course online versus in person. Is that the experience so far? And what does your intuition tell you how high-tech employers might look at these certificates?
So employers are telling us that they certainly put a lot of value on these certificates. It tells them that the student took initiative, which is interesting. It's not just about getting a high score. It is that this software engineer or this historian took the initiative and went and did this course and did well in the course, and they understand that if they did well on a course from UT Austin or from one of our top institutions, then it means something. And so, irrespective of where they are from the world, now there's a currency out there. They can get a certificate or a sequence of certificates from these universities, and employers are telling us that they value that. I mean, of course, they won't hire somebody just purely based on a certificate.
No.
This would enable them to get a foot in the door, get the interview, and then, of course, an employer is going to look at a number of other factors as well.
Sure.
But certainly, the getting a certificate and doing well in one of these courses or sequences of courses, it's certainly something that you can show and be proud of.
But just that's very interesting that employers are looking for motivation as well. They're looking for people who have the chutzpah, the drive, and showing that you took these courses when you didn't have to.
Exactly. That initiative is a key component where that this person is taking the initiative to do these things, and that's a good thing.
So much of society, and people who are coming up in society, people have claimed, oh my God, the doors aren't open to me. I can't get into a Harvard or MIT. It's biased. It's people have claimed the SAT is biased because it can be gamed if you have the $2,000 a year coach. And I'm not saying you're saying that, but I think I pretty confidently could say that because I did see that happen when I was in high school in Brooklyn. People who could afford tutors did better. Makes sense. Now that you've democratized it, is there going to be the ability to claim that we have these institutions holding people back? And then what does that do for society if people don't embrace it, or only a small group of people? Because we can't now say that MIT or Harvard or any university, because of the limited capacity, is holding people back. Anybody can go to Harvard. Anybody can go to MIT now. Anybody can. Not only that, you guys have actually given them the certificate to go to an employer. If somebody doesn't do that, it's on them, isn't it?
Well, again, I would not go that far. There's still a lot of impediments to students. If you're in a backwards village in India, you don't have internet access. You don't have a computer, so you cannot access the course.
Sure.
But MOOCs and online courses have certainly democratized education by orders of magnitude. It certainly expanded the access to high quality learning to just a much larger number of students than ever before. And so I think you're right. I think people simply have a much better shot at demonstrating that they can master the material than before.
What country, said it had 155,000 people sign up for the first one, what country surprised you at the amount of people who signed up, or city?
Colombia. So we had
Colombia, South America. Colombia.
Yes. So we had
not District of.
Exactly, South America.
Yeah.
So we had 155,000 students take the course. As you might imagine, the largest number was from the United States, I think
Makes
close
sense.
to 27-30%. Second was India, again, no surprise. Third was the UK. And India and UK were about 13-15% or thereabouts. Again, not too much surprise there. Number 4 was Colombia. And that surprised me. And, when I've talked about this, I ask people, a question as to who do you think number 4 was? And people
China,
guess
Korea,
every country,
Japan.
Indonesia, Pakistan,
Right, Pakistan.
Egypt, Germany, France, the list goes on and on. They never think of Colombia, but Colombia was number 4, and that was very surprising.
Was it there was a huge newspaper story about it that drove it, you think? Or have you been able to uncover why? Or
I don't have any, I have absolutely no idea.
Well, what a
And
wonderful
just a large
surprise.
number of it was just an incredible surprise.
A wonderful surprise.
Wonderful surprise, absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating. So what does it cost for the certificate? And what goes into that? Do you have to go to a testing center to take the certificate, or is it done online? And there's a cost, obviously, to getting the certificate. You can take the course for free, and then you pay for paper.
So we have 2 forms of certificates.
Yeah.
So you take the course is free, and right now we have an honor code certificate that is also free.
Honor code certificate, yeah.
You sign an honor code, and then you're on your own, and you just promise that you will abide by the honor code rules,
Right.
and you take.
You
the
didn't
exam
have
now.
somebody else take the quizzes.
Exactly, among other things, and you did the work diligently yourself.
Right.
So that right now even that is free. We have a proctored certificate where you can go to a testing center of Pearson VUE and take a proctored exam, and there's a fee for that. That's $95.
95, not
$95.
950, not 9,500.
$95, and if you go take the proctored exam and you pass it, you get a proctored certificate, and that's $95.
$95. And the equivalent course at a university would be thousands of dollars. I mean, why so little? It seems almost just absurdly cheap. $95. It's such a low fee.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
So this is again a pilot price. We need to figure out, what is the right model, what is
Yeah.
the right pricing, and we may also want to change the pricing by country, because and $95 is still a really large number in India or
Right.
sub-Saharan Africa,
Right.
and so
There it could be 25, and here it could be 250.
yeah. So we've talked about varying the price according to per capita or various other metrics. And so this is a pilot price, and we're trying to figure out what it should be. But we certainly want it to be very, very low cost.
Well, let's talk about the teachers and their reaction to the evolution of the classroom, the evolution of the student body. What teachers are embracing this? Is there resistance from a certain group of teachers, and what is that resistance? Because, gosh, I mean, there must be people who have been teaching for 30, 40, 50 years who, when they look at this, say, I don't know if I really want to do this just every day. I kind of like going up and lecturing every day. I don't want to do the lecture at night and then have people come in and do worksheets. I want to do it the way I've always done it. What do you say to those teachers?
So, professors that are producing the courses, I think, are very, very excited by it. I think, be able to, as a professor, you want to reach students. You want to teach. You want to see, you want to see students get that aha moment where they suddenly learn something when they did not know something before. And when professors can reach a much larger number of students, that's just amazing for professors. So professors just absolutely love that.
Yeah.
We've also taught courses in a blended model in universities. So we taught a course, San Jose State licensed one of our courses and taught it at San Jose State University in Silicon Valley, California,
Yeah.
for a semester, fall of 2012.
Right.
And there, a professor offered the course on the campus, and students would do the videos and exercises and so on, the learning sequences on their own time. They would come into class, interact with the professor, have discussions. Professor would teach them new material or answer questions. And the professor, who taught the course, was, absolutely excited about the whole thing. And when he went in the beginning, he started off wondering, hey, professors, you're supposed to lecture. But here it was a flipped classroom style model,
Yeah.
which is completely different. And so So, the professors are asking themselves, how do I, this is a new way of teaching. And he was very excited towards the end where they connected with students and so on.
And you don't need every professor to embrace this right now. There's going to be a group of professors who maybe excel in this new format, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is a new style of teaching, and different professors will take to it in different ways, and so some people like to lecture, some people do not like to lecture, some people like the apprenticeship model, the one-on-one interaction. So I think different people really like different kinds of models.
Yeah. Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. I'm here at the Launch Festival. Look at all these people working here. Amazing. Over 1,000 seats. Hey, Brandis, when I say that, that's when you pan over. Just pan over. There you go. There we go. There's my cameraman. Okay, here we go. Coming back around, and just wanted to take a moment to thank Hiscox. As you know, they do customized coverage and competitive pricing on small business insurance. When you buy insurance directly through the insurer instead of your agent, you're going to get tailored coverage. You're going to get a very simple process. You just go online, answer a couple questions, and Hiscox will email you all of your docs. It's a great value. Competitive rates for your business at $22.50 a month. And they have a passion for service. Their customers reported 96% with, this is a pretty high net promoter score, 96% of customers were recommended to a friend. They do things like professional liability, general liability, business owners policies, workman comp, all that great stuff. Get a quote. Please go try and get a quote. I have all my startups do this. I ask them to go get a quote. Hiscox USA, Hiscox USA.com/smallbiz. Hiscox has been working with This Week in Startups for a long time, and people like Chris Sacca on the program used it, and he sent me his receipt like a couple days later. He's like, I used your product, and it's great, and it saved me so much time, and I didn't have to go to all these meetings with people I didn't want to waste time with, and I got it done so quickly. So please, protect your business. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz. Listen to your Uncle Jason. He knows best. And go ahead and thank them at Hiscox Smallbiz on Twitter. And let's get back to the interview. It's a pretty good interview going on right now, if I do say so myself. And so let's talk about those objects that you're creating, these learning objects. Most teachers are not videographers, so making the video, I'm assuming that's your job at edX. And making these modules, most professors don't have the ability to write code and make a Flash module or an HTML5 or an iOS app or something that gives you quizzes. So is that the work of edX, is to watch those professors teach and say, what modules can we put in here for compliance, for just interactivity, and build those for them?
So a number of things are happening. So first of all, edX is building sophisticated tools that will enable professors to create courses much more easily. So you certainly do not want professors to have to write code in order to create a problem. So we built a tool called edX Studio that enables professors to author problems, many types of problems with ease, where they just type some text and it turns into a multiple choice question. You type some text, it turns into a numeric answer or an equation and so on. So we build these tools. We're also looking for ways to make video capture. At the end of the day, you have to have a camera or you have to have a tablet capture it. And so there we are working with professors and offering training and so on to help them come up to speed on how they can use these new media. Yeah. So there are a number of ways in which we're doing that. And universities themselves so edX is certainly helping there. And edX is offering help and support to some of the professors. But to make it scale, we are working with universities to help them create their own internal facilities where they can do video editing and video capture and training and so on.
Is there going to be a star system for teachers? We saw it happen in a lot of different verticals. Chefs used to just cook our food in the 80s, and you knew maybe one or two chefs' names, but then the Food Network came out, and all these platforms came out, and chefs became almost like celebrities, right? Or actually, they are celebrities, full-blown celebrities. And now you have professors that maybe were known by a small group of people, were allowed in the kitchen, but now, hey, if 155,000 people love this person's circuit board course, and then they love this other course they teach, and are we going to see this emergence of the celebrity professor? And is that a good thing?
I think so. I think we will see the emergence of rock star teachers, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Why should our kids grow up in a society where if some person can take a round object and throw it through a ring and become a rock star, why should we just have sports people be rock stars? Why not teachers? I think it's a good thing that teachers can be rock stars. So I think that is happening, and I think that's a good thing. But even there, I think there will be rating systems as well. And some of these are popping up where systems are rating courses. In fact, we want to introduce one on our own site which rates our courses. Not just the teacher, but rates the whole course and so on. So students can then decide, what courses they want to take. So professors can get feedback as to what's working, what's not working. So I think all of this is a good thing and will help everybody improve.
Yeah. And what about compensation for teachers? If I'm a teacher and I am this rock star teacher, should I get $5 for every student who gets a certificate? And if 10,000 of them do it, do I get a $50,000 bonus for getting those 10,000 students to take the certificate? Is that going to emerge eventually where they'll be compensated a magnitude more than just a normal teacher who teaches, a physical class?
Well, first of all, there's many ways of getting compensated.
Sure.
And most teachers that I know, are doing it not for money.
Right.
A large number of them are doing it because they love to teach. They could get much better paying jobs elsewhere. And so to many of them, just being able to reach a much larger group of students and watch that aha moment among a much larger group of students is a reward in itself.
Right. But you said earlier, professors can't even afford to send their kids to the schools that they go to, so why shouldn't they be compensated extra?
So I see absolutely no objection to compensation in one form or the other, whether it's in just feeling good about themselves, whether in being fulfillment, whether it's monetary compensation, whether it's prestige. I think any of these are fine, and this is all all this is new.
Yeah, it's emerging.
These are all emerging features. And I think we will have to figure out, and in fact, universities are discussing this as we speak, in terms of how to, and once we begin getting revenues in particular, right now the courses are free and the certificates are also free. But once we begin producing revenue, there is going to be a question of, how do we compensate professors? How do we compensate the teaching assistants? How do we compensate the university? So I think all of these questions will have to be thought out and answered.
Will the courses eventually be paid up front, do you think, or is it always going to be free to just experience it and pay for paper or pay for interactivity? What's your vision of the future?
I mean, vision of the future is that I think to increase access, I would very much like to see all courses be available for free. That is, anybody in the world should be able to take a course for free. Education really should be something that is available to everybody. It should be a basic right for all for all humans. So in that sense,
even a graduate degree.
I would like to see some level of education available for free to everybody. It's like the air we breathe.
Right.
And so I would like to see some level be available for free. Now, at the same time, we also have to sustain ourselves.
Right.
edX has to sustain itself. Universities that are producing the courses have to sustain themselves. And so clearly there has to be some way for some revenue model, some business model where they can sustain themselves. And there are a number of ways in which we are thinking about it, where we can offer free courses, yet find a way to get some revenue for sustainability.
I wonder, has anybody created a in-person university-like experience with the online courses that have emerged? We hear about the Khan Academy, which is obviously K through 12, and doing wonderful work. People starting to use those videos in the classroom, right? I mean, sort of the whole charming story of Sal Khan is people just started using his videos. What would stop somebody from saying, I'm going to create a 25-person classroom in India, in Colombia, and bring together students who want to take it, charge them to come, but use the online courseware, get them the certificates, and sort of almost be like an extra level of facilitation? And would that be a bad thing? And have you heard of that?
I think that's there are a number of examples of that happening. As I mentioned,
there are,
a number of them in Mongolia. A high school teacher got together 20 students in their high school, and they all took this course together. And it was a MOOC course, and they brought them together. So presumably the students were either paying tuition to their high school, or it was subsidized by the state or whatever. So that happened there. We offered an edX course at San Jose State University,
Right.
where the course was offered at the university, where a local faculty member, offered the course in a blended model.
Right.
So they use edX materials and think of it as a new textbook, if you will, and they
Right.
offered the course locally. So this is happening in a number of situations.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. It's almost like they're becoming this sort of extension of the edX, facilitators of the edX
Absolutely.
brand.
Absolutely.
And are textbooks the net losers in all of this? The overpriced, textbooks and the monopoly where it just feels like you're just getting totally ripped off. I mean, are they the ones that lose?
Oh, no, I don't think so. In many of the disciplines, when you apply technology in a big way, I like to think of online learning as a rising tide that will lift all boats. And so with textbook vendors, we're working with textbook vendors, and they give us a free copy of the book to place on our site, an electronic copy. And what our book publisher partners are finding, that because they make the book available for free, their sales are going through the roof.
They make a PDF for free.
They make not a PDF, but they make PNGs or other
pages.
Less sophisticated version pages
Right.
for free on the site, so students get something.
And then they get
But then
upsold on the big
they get
fuller
upsold
version.
on either the PDF or
Yeah.
some other e-reader copy or a paper copy.
Right.
And they get a discount there,
Right.
and they can buy that directly from the publisher through a click through from our site.
For $50 or $100 or something,
Whatever the
which is
number is.
reasonable considering the course is free.
Considering the course is free, and so publishers are finding that with Elsevier, for instance, they found that the sales of the book that they use for our course, the Elsevier book, the sales tripled.
Interesting.
And so, and not only that,
Because the market size expanded 100 or 1,000x.
the market size expanded, at 1,000x.
1,000x, yeah.
And so that was one, and the second was it also broadened the reach of this course to a wholly different category of learners. So, for example, 50% of our learners for our course were continuing learners, and they have jobs, they have incomes and so on, so they can afford to buy a textbook. Unlike much poorer students
Right.
in colleges that may go for a used book or somehow make do with a shared copy or with a library copy or something like that.
Sometimes the people who are stealing the book are not candidates to buy the book in any circumstance, whereas you're saying the people who are professionals, gosh, they're going to buy the book, and they may, whether they're going to use it or not, they just buy because they have the luxury of doing so.
Exactly.
And this
So
opens up
I
a
think-
huge market of lifelong learning.
Absolutely. So, in fact, we're talking to virtually every major textbook vendor, and they're doing licensing deals with them where they make these free books available on our site to offer to our students, and in return, their sales are going up.
So let me ask you about the competition, as it were. Not that you guys are really in competition, such an emerging market, but you have Udacity and I guess Coursera in the space. Some people like just providing software learning like Treehouse and Lynda, which is very, very trade specific. How do you look at those two different groups of people? The people who are giving like just here's some software skills, which doesn't seem super competitive, but then you have the Coursera's and the Udacity of the world. Is this like a new class of a cohort of people who are going to revolutionize education? And
I think so. I think this is a new cohort. I think MOOCs are revolutionizing the world, and I think having multiple players, multiple startups in this marketplace is a very good thing. Just as an example, if you're in a city and there is a small Chinese restaurant on a cross street, when another Chinese restaurant opens across the street, it is actually a good thing.
Sure.
Because now people, when anybody wants to eat Chinese food,
Yeah.
they will come to that region,
Right.
Rather than going to some other region.
Right.
And so I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah. And are you guys going to wind up competing for these rock star teachers, do you suppose, at some point, or for the students? Is there going to be an edX machine learning course, a Coursera, and a Udacity, all machine learning courses, all rated, and all with different rock star teachers going back and forth? It becomes almost like the NBA with players or something.
I think there will be a day when that will happen.
Yeah.
But right now, this is so early that and we're just scratching the surface. Right now, if you look at the total number of courses being offered, we have 20 on edX, and I believe maybe twice as many running courses on some of the other platforms.
Right.
So all put together, it's less than 100 running courses right now.
Right.
And so, but if you look at the total cadre of courses that could be offered, it's in the tens of thousands. So we're just scratching the surface. But even there, even on our own platform, universities are free to put up any course they want to put up, and so there will be competition even within the platform, let alone across platforms for courses and the best teachers and so on, and hopefully this will improve quality across the board.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about the organization here and the structure and how you're working, also the Boston X project. Yeah, how many people are here and what is everybody working on?
Oh, absolutely. So at edX, we're up to about on the order of 50 full-time people, and we have people working in a number of areas. We have a large number of software engineers that are working on the edX platform. It's a very sophisticated platform. They told you about the virtual laboratories, being able to grade different kinds of content, building a scalable platform, analytics. There's a lot of interesting things going on. So a big part of our team is in software.
So building that software platform so that teachers can onboard the courses and manage this large number of students.
That's one part. So that's authoring of the course.
Right.
But also as the course is going on, there's a platform on which the course is going on edX.org.
Right.
So if you go to edX.org and take a course, you are on the platform.
Right.
And so there, when you have hundreds of thousands of students taking courses, you need a platform that scales.
That's the software as a service component of your business.
Software as a service component as a business, exactly.
Yeah.
A second comportant is a services component, where we have a team that is doing video editing. They're doing things like working with people doing transcription and so on and so forth, looking at program management, working with professors and training. So there's a services component. That's a pretty large component. And then we have much smaller teams in marketing and university partnerships, the legal component, fiscal, HR, IT, so all the others.
How do you manage a large number of students taking a course? There's obviously 2 or 3 different components there. There's this great community you talked about. Are there going to be 10,000 people on one message forum, or do they get sort of grouped 1,000 at a time, 500 at a time? Have you figured out that science of, gosh, we had 100,000 people sign up for a course, or let's say it averages out to 10,000 even. How do you manage 10,000 people in one message board forum?
So we have a number of ways of doing that. First of all, we do have a global forum in every course where all the students are on that discussion forum.
Do they get out of control, like just that many people?
So I think people have gotten quite used to working in large social groups, and they tend to be very heavily self-moderating. We also hire community TAs, recruit community TAs from people who've taken the course previously, who monitor and manage the forums.
So if you took the course previously and were a high scorer, we can pay you to be a TA on the next one.
We were not even paying them. They come on board, and it's a great service that they're doing. They like to do it. They're a community TA at edX, so I think it's a great thing to.
Oh yeah, it's a great thing to have on your resume.
A great thing to have on your resume. So people are doing that. And furthermore, the forum has mechanisms for management. So, for example, if you have the same question someone else has asked before, you can like or upvote that question. And by doing so, you increase the upvoting of a question or an answer if you like it. And so the same people don't keep asking the same thing over and over again. So things tend to be filtered in that manner.
Which
and also,
it doesn't happen in a real world classroom. People every semester ask the same 3 questions.
Exactly, and not only that, if there's some question, there'll be a string of people coming to your office or sending you emails asking you the question, and you have to respond to every one of them. So there are ways in which these get moderated. In addition, we built a feature on a platform called cohorts, where the professor can divide the students into small groups. And so, that's been launched for our spring courses. And so professors can choose to say, okay, I want to have, for this topic, I want to create group discussion forums of 20 students apiece. So you may have 10,000 students in the course, but you can create 100 cohorts. And students, each of them could have, 100 students for that matter.
Yeah.
And so this way you can divide up into these cohorts where smaller group discussions can happen.
And the teacher can say, here's this week's discussion topic, go.
Yes,
And
exactly.
they go just
and the
talk
teacher
about it.
can choose by topic. Okay, for this topic, I want to have the big group discussion.
Right.
And for this topic, I want to have the smaller discussion.
Interesting.
And you can use community TAs and so on to moderate the smaller discussion forums.
Interesting. Now, what about grading and looking at people's progress? In some courses, 2 + 2 = 4. It's just there's a limited number of numbers you can type in. Pretty easy to do. But in a literature course or a history course where you're writing text, how do you manage that process where I'm writing a paper? Where does that concept change?
So there are a number of ways of grading free-form content, and so edX uses things like using machine learning grading and also peer grading, where you have machines do the grading of free-form content. So you train the machine grader, and then computers can grade free-form content. You can also use peer grading, where people can grade each other, for example,
Right.
and use some kind of a selection process to pick the graders. So that is definitely possible to do as well.
Yeah, but that seems to be still a big problem if you were doing term papers, and that might be would the term paper become part of the sort of paying for paper kind of concept? Like, oh, maybe I'll pay to actually have my term paper graded. That could be part of the paid services.
But, it could be part of the number of paid services. But it seems to me grading an exam or grading a homework is pretty basic. And, you want to do that as part of your basic
Yeah, but what if it's a
basic course.
20-page term paper? I mean, the teacher might take them half an hour to do each one, right? I mean, that was the...
Exactly. So, maybe we can use peer grading to do that. Maybe we can use machine learning to do that. And so both of these are possible. But it's hard to imagine, if you have 100,000 students, it's hard to imagine how to do that at scale.
Right.
And so, our goal is to increase access to education, also improve quality of education. So we are developing technologies to be able to automate a lot of that, either by
I love the idea of that
people
being
helping
like
each other or machines.
you could pay $10 and the professor will review that one, or some sort of there's a fee to have it reviewed and get actual feedback. Like pretty amazing.
So, yeah, I think you can do that, but that flies in the face of
The open
openness and free access to education and so on. But it's a slippery slope. You start charging for grading, then very soon you'll start charging for a course. So particularly if the graded exercises comprise, it's not unusual for graded exercises to comprise half the time you spend in a course, with videos being the other half. And so if you're charging for half the course, then it's a slippery slope to charging for the full course.
And Boston X, tell me about that.
So there, this was an idea of the mayor of Boston, Tom Menino. He came up with the concept of Boston X, working with edX and MIT and Harvard, where the idea is to have small community centers where the community members can get together, where the city will outfit those centers with wireless and interconnectivity and computers and so on. So whether it's in libraries or in community centers, and then community members can go in there and take edX courses. Also, work with local universities, like for Boston X, work with MIT and Harvard, for example, and have volunteer students serve as community TAs in person, so that they can facilitate discussions and answer questions and help the students in more of a moderated help style of grouping. And outcomes are likely to improve by doing that as well. So, so that can be a big benefit.
And do you think the style of courses is going to change now to be more skills-based? And do you think this sort of new online will lead you towards the a deeper connection with employers? So are employers saying to you, an IBM or a Microsoft or a Google, hey, can we look at the 100,000 people who took the machine learning course, and can we get early access to the emails of the top 1%? Because we have a need there. I mean, it seems like you can get an incredible bounty on those students.
So employers are asking, and we are talking to employers about that, where if students opt in, if students say that, look, I want to opt into the service, where you connect me to the potential employers and career placement services, then edX can do that. So we are working with employers and students in that and providing such a facility.
And would you guys get a placement fee if you gave them those leads, or would they underwrite a course perhaps? Like this could be machine learning brought to you by Google, and would there be anything wrong with that in your eyes?
So in this case, they could provide, referral fees. It's like a headhunter.
Yeah.
You pay some fraction of the annual income of a person hired by a headhunter to the headhunter. So I think obtaining a fee in that manner for sustainability, I think is perfectly a fair game.
I love that.
And so the number of ways in which you can do that.
I love the idea of bidding out the courses to the top tech firms. So this is Google's this is a machine learning course provided free by Google, and we'd love to meet the top 500 students. So if you get into the top 500, you get to meet a Google recruiter. I mean, then it's like you're providing two levels of value: the job potentiality and taking the course.
You have to be a little careful there, which is there's a slippery slope between.
It does feel like a slippery slope, doesn't it?
Between an employer sponsoring a course versus having paid advertisements as part of a course, and
right.
We are loath to move in the direction of having ads show up as you're taking an online course,
right?
And so you have to be very careful that you don't start going down that slippery slope of advertisements,
right?
But
we're talking about PBS style, like. Just a very discreet little, button in the corner, brought to you by.
If it's very nondescript and if it's very innocuous
tasteful.
And not in your face and tasteful,
yeah.
I could see that, particularly if it adds value to students. So, for example, I can imagine, again, I'm not suggesting that we do this, but one can imagine that if a student is willing to watch the whole course with a very innocuous little symbol on the side that says brought to you by
free by Google,
a company has funded Google or
IBM
whoever else has funded
Intel, whatever,
has funded this course and it's bringing it to you so that you can enjoy it for free. Then it's a service to the students.
Yeah.
And so if you're from a poor country and you can't afford the certificates, maybe this way you get the certificates for free.
Yeah.
So I think when we begin making trade-offs like that, I think that would be starting down the slippery slope path. And I think those conversations will need to happen.
Hey, you've been at MIT for a long time, huh? When did you start?
I've been at MIT for over 25 years.
Over 25 years.
Yes.
So you've seen a lot in your day. Tragically, Aaron Schwartz, a student, committed suicide under pressure. How do you think the university responded to all that? I know it's slightly off topic, but I'm just curious, as somebody who's been here for 25 years and seen a lot of hacking go on, what are your thoughts?
Well, it is very, it's just extremely tragic, and it just makes me feel very, very sad that this happens, and particularly. MIT is all about openness and open source and openness. edX is free, offering free courses, and founded by MIT and Harvard. And edX is, open source platform. So the whole value system of our institution is completely aligned with free access.
Right.
And so this was a very, very unfortunate situation, and there's certainly a lot of. There's a committee that's been formed internally to look into, to look into trying to understand, the whole, what happened here, the whole situation. But the whole thing is very sad and very unfortunate. Yeah,
very well said, Anant. I think it's a delicate situation, obviously, and just like you say, for a university fighting so much for openness, just paradoxical what happened, and very sad. So 20 courses today at edX.org. People can start taking them.
That's right.
And the most popular 2 or 3 are?
So I think in terms of enrollments, I think the highest enrollment was still for the circuits and electronics course. And I think because it was the first course, we had 155,000 students take it. Yeah. And it had differential equations as a prerequisite. I think the second one was a computer science course out of Harvard, Introduction to Programming in Computer Science. The so-called the CS50X.
Right.
And that had about close to 150,000 students.
Wow.
Take the course. So some of the very basic introductory courses tend to have a lot of enrollments.
Yeah. Anant, continued success. Everybody listen to the program. I can't encourage you enough to go to edX.org edX.org and get yourself a couple of certificates. It's going to make a huge difference in your career to have these certificates and to really participate in these. I know as an employer myself and an investor in a lot of companies, to me, this is a godsend, just being able to go and offer these courses to so many more people. I hope that everyone in the audience goes and embraces this and checks it out. It's a phenomenal project. I'm actually, to be quite frank, I am astounded that these large institutions have embraced it to this level. I mean, you must be on a certain level too, that this much progress has been made in such a short period of time.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is internet time. So if someone has been at edX for a month, it's like you've been here for a year.
Well,
so things are running at an absolutely amazing pace.
Why is it that the universities feel such a sense of urgency on this? Is that you did a fantastic job of convincing them, or just they see that they need to do it to compete? What's the massive imperative?
I think this is the only way to make things happen. And is to just go and do it. Is to take a startup view of the world where you proceed at just breathtaking proceed at a breathtaking pace, and you just run as fast as you can, and you do things as fast as you can, and that's how startups work. And so this is just a normal startup in that sense.
Yeah, amazing. Continued success. Everybody check out edX.org. edX.org. Anant, thank you so much for being on the program.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah. See you next time.